Hey gang, it's your old pal Clay here, Mountain Music Exchange, and today we're going to take a little bit of a walk on the wild side with the all-new Gibson Firebird Platypus. Check it out. Alright gang, but before we get into that, you'll notice if you've seen this channel and you've seen any of my previous videos here that I've done for Mountain Music Exchange, you'll know that I'm a bit of a plaid enthusiast. And so that's why I want to take just a second to chat about this new flannel from Mountain Music Exchange. Check it out. Super stylish logo on the front. Super stylish logo on the back as well. And I'll just tell you, this is one of the most comfortable, and I'm not saying this because I work here. I bought this flannel, okay? And it is super comfy. I really like it. It's really, really soft. All the buttons are snap, even the wrist cuffs and everything. There's an inside pocket that I think is pretty cool. And it's just a nice flannel. Really one of the nicest flannels that I've ever owned. I can't wait to go riding on this. So yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. But what else is pretty cool is that grabbing this flannel from mountainmusicexchange.com will get you entries to win a Gibson Les Paul Standard 50s in cherry sunburst with the hard shell case. It's got all the trimmings, nice flame top, burst bucker 1 and 2 pickups. It is not a deal you want to pass up. Check out online, mountainmusicexchange.com, how to enter. Every $5 toward MME swag gives you entries to win. Go grab some cool swag and enter to win that cool guitar. Anyway, gang, back to our regularly scheduled program. All right, so this is the Gibson Firebird Platypus. Super cool guitar. And at first glance, it looks like sort of a mixture. That's actually exactly what it kind of is. It's a mixture between the Firebird reverse and non-reverse. It has a few different sort of features from both. You'll see that it still sort of has this raised center here in the body of this all mahogany body, all mahogany neck, and that's where things start to get a little different. And you'll see as you go up the headstock, you have this sort of flat non-reverse headstock here. And you'll also notice too that it is not a neck through. This is a glued in set neck guitar. And one of the most important Firebird features for some Firebird purists is not there. That would be like the sort of banjo style tuners. You do have Grover mini rotomatics in place of that. So I don't necessarily have a problem with this though. We'll go top to bottom on this, but before I get too deep in the weeds here with you, I just want to kind of let you know where I stand on this. I'm a Gibson fanboy. I think I've made that pretty clear in the past, but I wouldn't call myself a Firebird purist. I think there are Firebird purists who, of course, will not love some of the aspects of this guitar, right? But as someone who's not, I think this is pretty darn cool. These tuners feel way more at home to me than the banjo tuners would feel. It has a slim taper, glued in set neck, so it's like the 60s style neck, which I'm pretty familiar with over the years. Bound rosewood fingerboard. It does still, however, have the cool mini humbuckers here. Alnico 5, historically accurate, so the sound is pretty much still there. And I think, too, because of the way it's constructed, neck dive is really not an issue with this. Doesn't feel like it's going to dive on me at all, actually, and I think that's pretty darn cool. So this, you know, if I'm closing my eyes and I've just kind of got my hands on this, I get way more sort of explorer vibes, which to me is a good thing. So I think the person that would want this guitar is someone who maybe likes the Firebird style, doesn't necessarily like all the Firebird quirks, or doesn't necessarily care about all the Firebird quirks one way or the other, and just wants a cool, playable guitar that still has that nice Firebird look and feel and sound, and this has got it. So I think it's just a really, really cool ride. I'm going to go top to bottom on it real quick, and then we're going to plug it up, play it, listen to it, hear how it sounds, and give you my final thoughts once we finally kind of are done with that. So without further ado, let's get going on that part of it. Of course, again, you have the, wait, before I get any further here, did you know, fun fact, did you know that the duck-billed platypus is poisonous? I didn't know that until way later than I should have known it, to be honest with you. But yeah, fun fact, they're poisonous creatures. If they bite you, it is poison. Australia is poisonous. All of it. I probably should have left that part out. Australian folks that might be watching this video, I do very much want to visit one day. Anyway, you do get this platypus sort of headstock, which is sort of where the name comes from. It does sort of have a resemblance to the visage of a duck-billed platypus. It is also a non-reverse headstock, which I think is actually really good looking headstock in general. It doesn't have any of the sort of the beveling or anything like that that you might expect from a standard or traditional Firebird headstock, but again, that doesn't really bother me as someone who is not a Firebird purist. I think it's a good, clean look, and quite frankly, I like seeing Gibson headstocks that are not the standard, open book or V or Explorer headstock every now and again. So I think this is just a good looking headstock in general. This one comes in cherry, by the way. You can get this in vintage sunburst as well. Or I think they've actually gone back to calling it tobacco sunburst. So good for them. Anyway, rosewood fingerboard here, bound, of course, mahogany neck, mahogany body. Now this is like, it's a multi-piece body, and you can pretty much tell that from back here. It does have a nice carve though. It does have those modern strap buttons, which I really, really like on these. And you also do get an aluminum tune-o-matic bridge that is at the Nashville style. It's not like an ABR one or anything like that. It is the newer, I say newer, it's like a 50-year-old design Nashville style bridge on this one. Three-way selector switch to switch between your two mini humbuckers here. I really like the chrome around the mini humbuckers as well. Just sort of from a distance gives you the illusion of having like bigger pickups in here, even though they're not. It's a good look. I like it. Pretty standard traditional style knobs here as well. Overall, just a really clean guitar, really straightforward guitar. Does come with a big rectangular hard shell case, as most Firebirds are known to do. What I do like and think is pretty neat is that they yellowed, for whatever reason, the piping that goes around here that's normally cream. Like it's yellowed, so like it's been aged or in a home that is not smoke free, right? So just interesting, pretty neat. But again, out of the box, this one plays really good. The action is really good. The neck is really straight. So I think what I want to do right now is just kind of take you guys through a quick tour of the pickup selections here on clean and dirty. I'm going to be using a Line 6 Helix. Yes, we are a music store, but I do not have access to the new Helix yet. So I will just be using my own personal Helix for this one. I'm going to be using something like a Fender Deluxe style amp for a clean, and like a Marshall JCM 800 style amp for the dirty sounds on this, just to give you an idea of the range of tones that you can get, although you can get way, 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 way more with pedals, effects, different levels of gain, etc. and so forth, but just to give you a basic rundown. Now, I will be using a little bit of reverb and a little bit of delay just for depth, but I think overall the tone itself is going to come through really good. So without further ado, gang, let's do that. Let's play this thing right now, shall we? right, gang, this is the Firebird Platypus from Gibson, USA. I like this guitar a lot. It's not very heavy, probably in the high 7-pound range maybe on this one. And I thought it sounded really good. It plays phenomenally, even without, an additional setup, for example, right? Just has a good feel, a good sound, a good tone. Kind of gives you everything you want from a Firebird without all of the sort of Firebird quirks or the differences that might set a Firebird apart from something else that may put you off from the Firebird, or maybe it doesn't. As usual, looks like Gibson's done a pretty darn good job making a pretty darn playable guitar that sounds really good and will get most any job that you need done. So, with that being said, don't forget to check us out on all of our social medias. Links will be in the description below, and check us out online at mountainmusicexchange.com, where you can check out the new arrival section, where you can see this guitar and all the other new and used gear that comes into the store pretty much as soon as it gets here. If you see something online on our website, it is in stock. We don't show out of stock items, so if you see it, we have it. I think that's pretty cool. So there you have it, gang. Gibson Firebird Platypus. I'm Clay. You rock. Wherever you're at, whatever it is you're doing, make it loud. See you.